And welcome once again to another episode of S2E10 Productions presents
J&M Solve the World
After Dark.
I am James.
And I am Matt. And with us is our illustrious guest, Andrew.
Hello, folks.
No crickets for you tonight.
Oh, well.
And returning guest, our friend and yours, Merle.
Woo!
Yeah, I don't even know where anything is. Oh, wait, there we go.
That's kind of like the Oscar applause.
Yeah.
I got the clap. Everybody get the clap.
TMI.
I bet your daughter didn't want to hear about that.
It's better than the crabs, though. We don't have to spray when he leaves.
True. So you've been here, you've used a restroom, and I've got to ask, how do you like that shower curtain?
I didn't even pay attention.
Ah,
I was too busy trying to walk in.
son of a bitch.
Sorry.
Everybody that goes in there, they always like, what the fuck? It's so disturbing.
You ain't kidding on that.
Well,
See, I use that bathroom a lot because, we got 2 bathrooms in our bedroom. But I don't go back there when I'm watching TV because I'm usually coming in the kitchen making a drink. I just walk in, don't even look at the shower curtain. I pee and I go away, It ain't like I'm having to sit there and drop a deuce going, fuck.
Yeah, I didn't ever look over that way.
their neighbors, Tracy, had told James that he needs to get rid of that shower curtain because as a woman, you're always sitting down to go pee, and all you're doing is you're looking at that shower curtain. Well, I'm going to get another shower curtain made. That'll go in behind that one. So when that one gets closed, it'll be an even worse shower curtain. But they're all photos from the calendar, and you've seen the 2023 calendar. Yeah.
And he's like, remind me to shower before I come out here and not have to worry about it.
You keep it up, and I'll make sure you've got flyers in your truck. Like every time you'll open up a compartment, and then all of a sudden there's a picture of me.
That's why I keep my truck locked.
You're a pretty sound sleeper, though.
Well, he's not pretty.
I never said I was pretty.
Okay, so tonight we're gonna get dark.
Dark.
We're gonna get real.
Well, it is after dark.
Just
It
how
is.
dark are we talking here?
We're gonna talk about death. Mm-hmm. And who better to talk about death than our very own funeral director, Merle. So, explain to our tens of listeners what exactly a funeral director does.
Directs funerals.
It's pretty self-explanatory, isn't it?
And on that note, thanks for listening.
Join us next time for... No.
Takes care of the families and makes arrangements and gets stuff together for the funerals and
Okay.
conducts them.
Are you a mortician?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I did the research. I didn't print it off this time because there's not a lot of research to do. But in the state of Missouri, because I know each state is different, is there a difference between a mortician and a funeral director?
Oh, yeah. I mean, a mortician / embalmer takes care of the bodies back in the prep rooms.
Okay.
The funeral director is more book, paperwork,
Okay.
type stuff.
Front office type stuff,
Yeah.
and your mortician is your grunt, if you will, your back room.
Yeah.
Igor, if you will.
Yeah.
Hands on.
Dr. Frankenstein. But of course, I did learn this. Across the pond, their morticians are called undertakers.
Dong.
Yeah, insert gong here. Yeah, I didn't know that there was a difference between them all, and
Well, I think back even in the early stages of the United States, that was the Undertaker,
yeah.
you know, in the small town, and he built the caskets and
right.
you know,
But I think it all changed
and
to
if he was having a gunfight, he'd come and measured you before
Yeah.
the gunfight, so
Yeah.
he'd make you in
Yeah.
the right size pine
And
box.
back then, most of the undertakers were furniture makers too.
Right.
oh, interesting.
Yeah. Well, they had to build a pine box, so they had to have some carpenter skills.
True. Unless you just built it in, shop class your junior year at Buffalo High School. Ba-dum-bum. Hey.
When I first got my bike, what I was really wanting to get for my license plate was Dr. Death, but it was already taken by another funeral director / mortician
about
up
to
in
say-
St. Louis.
I didn't think Dr. Kevorkian was in Missouri. I didn't think Steve Williams was in Missouri either.
Yeah.
Let's see, what could you? I mean, you obviously don't want last ride on your personal vehicle license plate.
As we talked in the previous podcast, he almost had one of those.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I guess you could have just really effed with people and just had Michael on your license plate,
Yeah.
as in the Archangel Michael.
My head went to Halloween when you
I
said Michael.
was going to say then I'd have to explain it to everybody, which I had to explain because I had rocker, but I spelled rocker Rocker because somebody else had taken it.
CKER?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had to explain that to people all the time because it was for music wise.
Right.
Roker?
Yeah, that's
What is Roker?
Yeah.
You rap guys are all the same.
Herbie was telling me he's got his funeral and everything planned out. In fact, the tombstone's already over at Star Ridge and everything. But he's going to be cremated and put in a little trailer pulled behind a motorcycle out here at Star Ridge. They're going to do the combat vets, going to ride with, instead of having a hearse and everything. His urn's going to be in a little trailer behind a bike and bring it out here like that. And it's like, that's pretty cool.
So, do you know what that's called? If it's pulled behind a horse? It's called a caisson.
Okay.
Caissons were originally used.
Kind of like Kennedy.
Yes.
Right.
Now, caissons were generally used during the Civil War. They were used to haul munitions for artillery pieces. And I'll have to do the research on it. But Kennedy, of course, was the second president to be assassinated. But we don't know much about Lincoln, but Kennedy was a big fucking deal.
Mm-hmm.
Much like Elvis, he was world renowned and worldly loved.
Right.
The main difference, and I saw the documentary on it, and I did a deep dive on Kennedy's thing. At the time, funerals were like more than a year's wages for average Americans.
Mm-hmm.
So the Kennedys were against funeral directors and everything like that. There's the director that brought in a casket for Kennedy when he left Dallas, and they said they just wanted something simple, and the guy's like, oh, this is for the president. So he brought out something like his most expensive casket and everything, and of course, it got fucking destroyed going on to Air Force One, coming off of Air Force One. Kennedy went straight to Bethesda, and it was naval mortuary affairs that did anything with the body, and they worked overnight to reconstruct his face. And Robbie and Jackie were the only ones to see JFK after mortuary affairs, naval mortuary affairs reconstructed his face. They Robbie was the first one to see it, and he had told Jackie she didn't want to see it because that wasn't Jack. That was in the casket. But, I mean, at this point, Jackie was still wearing the pink outfit covered in his blood. But, yeah, he said it didn't look like him. She said it didn't. So that's why Kennedy's casket was closed and laying in state and stayed closed until this day. It's still closed. So,
Well, I hope so.
well, I mean,
If it's open now, we're talking zombie Kennedy.
according to the movie Bubba Hotep, they took Kennedy's brain and put it in a black man.
There's a comedian talked about that. He said, Kennedy's brain went missing between Dallas and Washington, D.C. He said, I bet there's a monkey in a basement of the White House down there going, okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to throw some shit on the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
And the way the country's kind of ran since then, kind of seems like they're throwing shit on the wall and see what sticks.
I'm not going to go down a political route
No,
here.
I'm not blaming one or another. I'm saying since then it's kind of went that way.
Yeah. So,
We're staying quiet.
yeah. So you have got, Merle, you've got a connection with my co-host in crime, James, on a very personal level. You have been fortunate enough to help him with his parents.
Yes.
So, James, you mentioned something earlier about seeing your dad.
Yeah. When Dad passed, he had congestive heart failure and his kidneys had stopped working. And what he did, last few weeks of his life, he just didn't look like Dad anymore.
Right.
It was just bad. And when we went in there for visitation and I seen him laying in the casket, he looked like he did when I was a kid. He looked like he was in his 50s, maybe 60, instead of what I seen that last day. And that was remarkable. And like I say, Mom looked really good too. And like I said, at the end of the service, when you played In the Mood, I could swear I seen a smile, just a little smile crack on her face. It was, they looked, like they could just get up and just go home with us. And that was really comforting, You guys done a wonderful job. It was just.
Thank you.
Have you ever had to do any reconstruction?
Not much. They teach us that in mortuary school, but
Yeah.
we've had some done at sometimes, but not a whole lot. I myself haven't done a whole lot. My father did
Yeah.
quite a bit when he was doing it.
So, your family had Montgomery Veets Funeral Home for how long?
My grandfather started in 1946.
Okay.
Wow.
And we sold it in 2018, in March of 2018.
So what is 60, 70 years?
70.
72 years?
Yeah.
Wow. So it's, shall we say, it's been a family business.
Yes. Oh yeah, it's been a family business forever. My father was in the Army at Fort Leonard Wood, and he met my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And then they started dating, and then they got married, and then he got into the business. He went to Dallas to mortuary school. Him and my brother Monty and I all went to Dallas to mortuary school. My brother Brett went to Kansas
Okay.
to school.
Oh, he just didn't want to go to Texas.
I don't remember what the deal was. He went to like there's a community college up there that he went to.
Okay.
Like a JUCO.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so he did his, I think it was 2 years that he did up there. Well,
Nice.
Ours down there was a year.
Okay.
So,
Nice.
but there was quite a bit of difference between the time. I think Dad was down there in 55, 56.
Mm-hmm.
Monty was down there in 83, and I was down there in 92, 93.
Wait, because I know, God, that had to have been, what, July of 92?
I left, school started in August. No,
Okay.
September. Started September 92 and went to August of 93.
Okay.
Because you guys just graduated pretty much.
Yeah, and because I know we went and saw Pantera at Lampe,
Yeah.
which was after graduation.
Yeah.
And then I know Vez and I left in August for boot camp, and I could have swore you were still around.
Yeah, I was.
August of 92. See here, you mentioned a famous wrestler that you had the unfortunate time of meeting, if you will.
Well, I never met him. I just knew that of him passing, and that
Oh,
our funeral home
okay.
in Camden took care of him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't have anything to do with it.
Oh. I thought like they brought him up here to Buffalo.
No. It was all done down in Camden.
Because I wonder if he still had a mohawk.
I think he did, because last time I seen him, his son played for the St. Louis Rams,
Okay.
and they showed him in the stands, and he still had the mohawk and the sides and stuff, you know. And
Yeah, I don't know. I never did see him.
And if you're wondering, to our tens of listeners out there, we were talking about Road Warrior Animal.
or James Laurinaitis. No, his name was John Laurinaitis.
I think so. Yeah.
I think that's right. His son was James. He was a middle linebacker for the Rams back in late 2000s. It was before they moved to L.A.
Before they tucked their tails and left the great state of Missouri.
Yep. Fuck you, Stan Kroenke. Oh,
And picked off a lot of fans in St. Louis.
right.
Well, but that's why the St. Louis Battlehawks XFL League team is so huge.
They'll probably sell out their first home game because because they've played 2 away games so far.
Yeah, week 3.
Yeah.
If I remember looking at the schedule, week 3 is supposed
Next
to be
weekend.
the home
as,
opener.
as we record next weekend.
Yes, that would be the first weekend of March. First, second, third. 4th, 5th, March 5th.
25th. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, why not?
Really good. All right.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Oh, so as we're recording this, we are all taking a stand, and we are going to go 3 days alcohol free. 100% 3 days alcohol free.
No problem for me.
Yeah.
February 29th, 30th, and 31st.
There you go. Yep. Yep. Called Sober Feb. 'Cause, 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 'cause Sorry, Rogan, we just can't do sober October. That's my birthday month. I can't do that.
I had my boss at work. His wife was like, "Oh, we're gonna go alcohol free in February," and he had mentioned that, and I'm like, "Really? She chose the shortest month of the year? I never thought about that." And I'm like, "You do realize that you got Mardi Gras and Valentine's Day and the Daytona 500,
Super Bowl.
and the Super Bowl all in February?" And he's like,
Okay.
I don't think she thought about that because it was like, oh, well, I guess on the weekends it doesn't count. And it's like, still kind of counts. Anyways, so what all does it take for a person to become a mortician?
You have to go to school, and then you have to do an apprenticeship, a year apprenticeship. And then after the year apprenticeship, you have to go take another test. And then when I did it, I had to take a written test, and then a in-person contact with somebody.
Okay.
And then you get your license. That was the way it was when I did it back. By the time it was done, it was 94, into 94, 95 when I...
Okay, so almost 2 years.
Yeah, close to it by the time I was done with everything.
And what all did they go over in school?
Mortuary law, chemistry, anatomy. Trying to think. That's been forever ago. I've tried to forget about it. Yeah, just math stuff, which I'd hardly ever use. Just like, okay. But just like the business, they did a little bit of business stuff along with for the funeral directing and stuff. Nobody had ever done that.
Right. Okay.
What about the mortician end of it? Mindset?
Yeah, I mean, I've been around it all my life. So.
Well, okay, somebody who thinks they want to do that, what kind of mindset do they have to have? I mean,
And mostly,
You know-
if they want, I mean, if you're into helping people, and I mean, it takes a certain kind of person to be able to do
I mean,
to do that.
do you have to have a strong stomach to do the?
Pretty
Mortician
strong.
end of it?
I mean, pretty strong. I mean, it can get bad sometimes, but most of the time it's good. My stomach's not very good, so I mean, it's sometimes I have problems, but most of the time it's pretty good.
Okay. No, I didn't know. Well, I'm gonna throw out a old TV show, Quincy. Me.
Yeah.
Where first thing he does is he'll throw that sheet back and 2-3 of them faint. Do you have to have
Oh, strong. Yeah, I mean,
a strong stomach, to see that and not react?
yeah. I mean, you do pretty much.
It probably depends on the circumstances.
Yeah, it
If
depends.
somebody
Yeah.
just passed, or if it's
Yeah.
a bad wreck, or
Yeah.
suicide, or something like that.
Right.
Well, I know, and correct me if I'm wrong here because I'm not an expert here, but like a homicide, it'll go through like medical examiner
Corner and the police all.
right before you.
Yes.
So a lot of the cleanup is done, like a suicide, if you will, or do you guys like show up to the scene and
We usually it depends on the circumstances, but
Okay.
majority of the time we will pick them up, go to the scene, pick them up, and if they're going to do an autopsy or something like that, we will take them to where they need to go.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kind of like on Jaws when they threw the sheet back on the girl they found on the beach. And he's like, "Need a glass of water? This was not a boat accident. You know? You know that girl had dandruff?
No.
Yeah, they found her head and shoulders on the beach.
No, oh, come on. That's wrong, but it was funny. Wow. Who knew?
Have you ever ended up, unbeknownst, walking into it, come across a family member?
Oh,
To where-
me?
Yeah.
Like my family? No, actually, I have not. The only time I got close to that was my grandfather when I was little. He was having a heart attack, and at that time we owned the ambulance service too.
Mm-hmm.
And my brothers were having a party next to my grandparents, and they came over and actually brought him back to life in front of my eyes.
Wow.
Used
The paddles.
the paddles, and brought him back.
Nice.
Yeah.
So therefore, as we were talking earlier, clear.
Yep.
Did they actually go through the whole clear?
I don't even remember. That was I was just sitting there bawling because I don't remember how old I was, but I was probably 9 or 10, I think, at the time.
I mean, I can imagine how it is as a child, and you know, I know a thing or two about a thing or two that I'm not going to mention because it doesn't need to be mentioned again. But that's one of those things that I don't wish on anyone. Seeing a person take their last breath, or being I don't know. I guess it's just different the way that you have dealt with death, pretty much kind of after the fact.
Yeah.
And like I've dealt with it first on scene, or may or may not have caused it in foreign countries, lands far, far away.
At a time long ago.
In a galaxy far, far away.
Across big pond.
Well,
Yeah.
It's like my brother talks about that. Of course, he was Vietnam vet, and he said he still sees faces in his dreams, you know.
I know I wasn't home when they did my buddy Curtis's funeral. Now, okay, how big are standard caskets, or how big can you get a casket lengthwise?
I mean, you can get them as big as you want. I mean, it just depends on we have oversized caskets if we've got a bigger person.
So my buddy got cremated, but for visitation, they had open casket. Mm-hmm. And so they just used what they had. Curtis was 6'10". And
Wow.
yeah, they folded his legs up.
Oh, no, we would not ever do that.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I mean, it was the bottom half of the casket was
tacky.
right, but the bottom half of the casket was closed, and nobody really knew it. But I had guys that didn't deploy with us that were back here that went and talked to the director, and they're like, he's not being buried. I mean, if this was a casket he was being buried in, yes. But as soon as the visitation was over with, they took him down and he was cremated. But they said because for some reason mortuary affairs at Dix Air Force Base didn't do what they normally do. It was the funeral home back home, and they said that they didn't do a very good job of because
That's
he
a
was
shame.
well, he was shot in the face,
Well,
and just reconstructing the face and everything. But
well,
we heard about it at the memorial over in Afghanistan, and we all had to laugh about it because Curtis was 6'10", 285, and it's like, that's what you get, you fucking big son of a bitch, you. But I mean, but that's the sick humor in making jokes. Like, I had a first sergeant that came in, and I was yelling at Curtis, and he was sitting down, and I'm standing up, and I'm in his face. I'm 5'7", he's 6'10", and then first sergeant comes in and starts yelling at him because he's sitting down while I'm raising my voice. First sergeant didn't realize that Curtis was that tall, and first sergeant was shorter than me. And when Curtis stood up, he's like, "God damn, you're a big fucker."
oh shit!
So the next time that happened, Curtis was standing up, and I'm standing on top of a desk, yelling down at him. First sergeant opens the door. He's like, "Just carry on, go about it." But
Carry on, I'm gone. Bye.
it's stuff like that I don't. I mean, it's almost like you have to separate yourself from. I mean, am I correct there?
Yeah.
You gotta be able to turn something off and then keep something on,
Yeah.
and then
Go
vice versa.
go straight medical science, and no longer emotional.
Yeah.
I gotta say, because in a small community like Buffalo, you've bound to worked on people you've known
Oh yeah.
all your life and friends, family.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I do
you know.
that all the time. So
Right.
And that's why I said mindset. Somebody was like, "Oh shit, I knew them. I did this, and this, and trying to be professional, but not stand there and boo-hoo at them." Wait a minute, that sounded wrong, but I think you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yep.
I used to not have any trouble with that until my mother passed away, and after my mom passed away, I find myself, if it's somebody I know really well,
Mm-hmm.
I like if it's services and stuff, I find myself
Yeah.
crying
Right.
and stuff, and I used to not ever do that before.
Right.
So I mean, sometimes it hits me harder than
Mhm.
others.
What do you think is more difficult, children or older adults?
Children. That's the hardest thing to do. Is and probably the closest I came to, but I'm trying to think. I don't even think I'd gone to mortuary school yet, but I hadn't yet. My brother and sister-in-law had a baby that was a year and a half old that died. She had Down syndrome, and she had been through a lot in her year and a half. She'd had heart surgery and
Right.
everything, and that was the hardest one to do.
Damn.
Wow.
And I mean, like I said back then, I wasn't even
Right.
that
Certified yet, or
or anything to it.
Yeah, because kids got their whole life in front of them.
Yeah, that would have been
If it's
92
a-
when that happened.
Yeah.
yeah.
When it's an older person, you're like going, yeah, okay, 67 might be considered young, but they've had a life.
Right.
But you get some 8, 10, 12, 15-year-old, 18-year-old kid, I mean, they missed out on what could be a great life,
My example of that is Thomas Cantlin.
Mm-hmm.
When he died when he was 16,
Right.
and
That was on the bicycle, right?
his bicycle.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was an avid bicyclist.
Right.
And my story on that is, I can remember it was a Tuesday night.
Mm-hmm.
My dad had Rotary Club, met every Tuesday night out at Victorian,
Mm-hmm.
and I was out there, but the wives always sat outside out of the rotary deal, but they
Right.
always had their own table. I went with my mom, and I was sitting with my mom, and I told her, I'm going to walk over to Walmart and look at tapes back then.
Right.
Those
Yeah.
before
Right,
CDs.
right.
Yeah.
And I was
back before they started censoring them at Walmart.
yeah.
too.
And I was walking across the parking lot, and I heard, hey, Merle. And I turn around, and it's Thomas. And he's riding his bike by.
Uh-huh.
And I always think if I had stopped him or something and said, hey,
Yeah.
Stopped him for
yeah,
5 minutes or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
what would have happened?
Mm-hmm.
But I always think about what he would have been
Okay.
doing.
Right.
Like if he would, I'd say he probably would have gotten into. I don't know if he would have gotten into the funeral business or not. He was. I don't think he was in that kind of mindset. I think he would have been, because he was always into sports and
Right.
Yeah.
everything. I think he probably did something sports wise.
Mm-hmm.
But me and him were really, even though his mom and dad owned the funeral home,
Mm-hmm.
the other funeral home, we were always.
Okay,
We were always.
I've heard that name before. I'm sorry.
Wait, oh, you're fine. No, you're fine.
My bad.
But we were friends for
Mm-hmm.
forever.
Yeah.
Right.
And that sophomore year, before when he died, in my Glorious class, we both sat in the very back of the classroom and sat right next to each other
Mm-hmm.
for that month, because we started in August.
Right.
Yeah.
And he died in September,
Right.
because it was a month, almost exactly a month before I turned
Now,
16.
did you guys, or I'm sorry, did the Montgomery Veeds Funeral Home take care of him, or did
No. Cantlin's did.
Oh God.
But I think they I'm not sure. I think they may have had somebody come in and do
Okay.
stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
I can remember all the funeral homes around the area came in and helped with the service.
Yeah.
Because that was the biggest service I'd ever seen. They had it at the field house.
Wow.
And every seat in the auditorium was full, and then the way they always had it set up for
Yeah.
graduation.
Yeah.
All those seats were full. I was in the choir, and we sang at it and everything. And then I can remember helping with the flowers and stuff afterwards, taking them out to the cemetery.
Mm.
It's but yeah, that I've always wondered about how he would have turned out and
Right.
everything. But
Because I don't even think we filled that place up for our graduation. And
probably not.
the year that I graduated, we were the largest class in Buffalo high school history at that point at 220.
Yeah, I think we had like 100. I forgot how many.
You
we
had 220 in your class?
Yeah.
Really?
In my graduating class, we were the largest graduating class of Buffalo high school history at that point.
'Cause I thought we had a decent sized class in Bolivar in '85 at 135.
We were also the first class in Buffalo history to have a student get an NAACP scholarship.
Really?
Yeah.
Could you say who it was?
I'm trying to remember.
Amanda, she was half black.
Hmm.
Do you remember that? God, he worked at the radio station in the morning. He was from Bolivar.
John Casebeer.
No,
Oh.
Knickerbocker.
No, I didn't know him.
He was taller, long, straight hair. If you ever watch the show on MTV on Sunday nights, The Young Ones, 4 British teens that live
I know
together.
what you're talking
Yeah,
about. Yeah.
Neil, the
Yeah.
long hippie hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what this Knickerbocker kid looked like. And if I'm not mistaken, Amanda got an NAACP scholarship. But I mean, the time frame and not saying it's right or anything like that, but the time frame
Oh, yeah.
in Buffalo, there was not that many black families.
No.
No.
Now, okay, you guys had the funeral business, but you and your dad restored vehicles, or
I didn't
built?
do very many. That was pretty much before my time, but him and my two brothers did quite a bit.
Yeah.
I think we were counting the other day, actually, and I think over the years, Dad redid about 80 cars.
Right. Because you guys had a DeLorean at one time, didn't
Yes. And I wrecked it. On Kearney Street
you? Oh, my God.
on a Friday night.
Oh, shit.
Did you reset the timer to go back a few minutes so you could
I wish I
avoid that?
could have. Yeah.
There was no flux capacitor in that one.
Didn't have any fuel.
Oh, yeah. Didn't have the Mr. Fuel. at that point,
That's right. Yeah, you could just put a banana peel in there and go.
That was a bad deal too. I had my driver's license 3 weeks. Talked to my mom and dad and let them take the car out. And then me and two other guys were in the car, just cruising around. We'd stopped and was talking.
Who was sitting on whose lap?
No, nobody. There was a center console, and there was. I don't know how they were managed that, but I was like, okay.
Because that's a
Whatever.
2-seat car.
But that was an awesome car because gull wings.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We had the doors open most of the night.
Yeah.
When I ran the gun shop down in Tennessee, we were coming back from a thing we did in Denver, and God, where the fuck did we stop? Oh no, we were on our way to Denver, and we stopped like in Columbia. There's that gas station by Mid-America Harley Davidson. If you're traveling west, it's like the first Columbia exit. If you're traveling east, last, whatever. But our RV, black rifles all over it because we were a gun manufacturer as well. And we're filling up, and this truck rolls up with a DeLorean on the trailer. Completely done Back to the Future style. And yeah, the guys like flipped out, and they were fucking getting pictures on the inside. And they're like, "Whoa, look at me! I'm Marty McFly!" Yeah.
Do you remember that Sterling car we had? It was black 4-door. It was an English-made car.
I don't think so.
I didn't know if I had that. That car, speedometer said 150 on it, and it did all of 150.
150 kilometers for
Yeah.
any law enforcement that's out there.
Yeah.
150 kilometers an hour. Let's see here. You guys, because I remember hearing about the DeLorean. Now, did you guys rebuild that Grand Prix that you had?
Yes.
And then you guys did a truck?
We redid several. I'm trying to remember what all the ones we did. Well, the first Dodge truck I had was a rebuilder
Yeah.
that we redid.
I mean, and that's...
So is that what you were doing? It was buying crashed rebuilders, or
Yeah, Dad would
Yeah.
go. We'd either buy them out at the Buffalo Auto Salvage, or there was a place up in Quincy, Illinois that Dad
Right.
liked to go into. That was where he bought I think he bought the DeLorean up there.
I think Kevin's talked about they used to buy, when Dale was alive, they'd go up to Quincy quite a bit and buy rebuilders up there and stuff. And,
Yeah, it was the same place.
Yeah.
Fergie's.
yep.
Well, when we got that DeLorean, when Dad was rebuilding it, he was trying to, because it's all stainless steel parts.
Yeah.
Found a guy up in Detroit that had parts. So him and Mom and I drove up there. Well, while we were up there, Dad decided we'd go across into Canada and eat breakfast. Well, getting into Canada, we were fine. They didn't stop us at
Yeah,
all.
trying to get
On the
back
way
out to
back,
bitch.
they're looking at all these stainless steel DeLorean parts
Yeah.
and would not let us. I forgot how long we sat there, but we sat there for a while waiting to get back into the country.
Now, did that car, it was stainless steel, did it have any kind of clear coat on it or anything, or was it just the bare stainless steel?
Just bare stainless steel.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
funny Canada story, if you will. My father, back in the 70s, was running trucks He
I thought you was going to say moonshine there for a second.
no
Well,
over the road trucker, and he carried a 25 caliber. Going into Canada, didn't think anything of it. They go to check the truck. They find the gun. They can't figure out how to unload it. They give the gun back to my dad to have him unload it. I think that's funny as hell. My pops, he doesn't necessarily think it was funny because he did spend a night in jail. But just the fact that the Mounties gave the gun back to him. Hey, we can't figure out how to unload this. Will you do it?
Yeah.
Okay. Bam, 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 bam.
it's unloaded. Yeah, that's just a big discombobulated, you know what?
Yeah.
I could go off on a tangent on that, but that's not what we're here for right now.
The-
So, go ahead.
I'm just trying to think. Did you guys ever do any service members? Like during the
Yes.
GWAT era?
We did one. I call him a kid because he was a kid.
Yeah.
He died over in Afghanistan, and they brought him back. And that was during the whole Westboro
Yeah.
group. We had the service at the funeral home, and the Westboro group came over, and they were sitting over in Holt's Monument Company across the street.
Yeah.
And we actually brought the family in through a back door so they didn't have to see all that. And then at that time, John Maddox was the police chief.
Okay.
And police chief. He had the police were all there and everything, and the Westboro people had their signs up and everything. And there was a semi truck that was coming through about that time, and he actually stopped the truck and had him shut the engine off. Said, "Oh, you're having engine problems," right where the Westboro people couldn't see.
Yeah.
And they got mad, and then our neighbor in the big house across the street from us, he was a Marine, and he didn't like it at all. And he was an older gentleman, and he actually had his guns out and was ready to go over and start stuff with them.
Yeah, no, clean house.
Yeah.
Hats off to that man.
I'm from what I can remember, that's the only one that we actually had, and that was in like 2004 or 5.
I went by Pitts Funeral Home in Bolivar, and they were having a military funeral, but what was the biker group name that would come and help defend?
Patriot Guard.
Okay.
There was the Patriot
They
Guard,
were,
the CVMH.
they were all out there
Yeah.
lined the street.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, they weren't blocking any traffic, but they were
Right.
lined the street but between the funeral home and everything there, so the Westboro fucks couldn't get in there. It's like, ooh,
When
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
one of my guys, David Weir,
I think there were some BACA members and stuff in there
Yeah.
too, and yeah.
Well, yeah.
when David got brought home to Cleveland, Tennessee, he was the first citizen of Cleveland to die in armed conflict since Korea. So, of course, Westboro was there because this was 06. So Westboro was down there, but they had the Patriot Guards, and it was the first time in the history of Tennessee that the big three, quote unquote, outlaw motorcycle clubs banded together. And they gave David's hearse and everybody in the procession an escort to the cemetery. And there was, like, they basically shut down parts of the interstate, and there were bikers lined the overpasses, bikers lined the roads, you did not, like the family did not see that. 2017, there were a couple of fallen that were brought back to Fort Campbell. And Fort Campbell is different than any other military installation because it actually straddles the state line of Kentucky and Tennessee. The post office is on Kentucky side, so it's all Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Well, a couple of fallen got brought back home, and again, the 1% clubs and the Patriot Guard and everybody else lined the road, and there were dump trucks that lined the road that kept the Westboro Baptist Church because they could not come on. Even though Fort Campbell is open to the public, they were not allowed on Fort Campbell. And then all the businesses along 41A would not allow the quote-unquote trespassing. And
As well as, yeah, right.
well, and it's just dipshits wanting to get their 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah.
Because the guy that started the whole Westboro Baptist Church, God hates gays, and gays will burn in hell, and military's full of gays, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it came out that guy loved to puff on the Peter.
That's usually the way it works out.
Say that again.
It came out that the guy liked to puff on the Peter.
Oh, well, my fucking hypocrite. Anyway.
What?
He had chin nuts a few times.
Okay, what is, and I know it's a somber thing, but what is the most fun you ever had doing a funeral, or the coordination of a funeral?
Trying to think. Probably the best one was my dad. The music and it was a younger person, and the family had it's a "Come on, ride the train."
Yeah,
Ride
yeah.
it. When that song came on, my father's eyes were big as grapefruit because he was like, "I cannot believe we're actually playing this song." And they had a good time. I mean, it was more of a
Celebration. Yeah.
I went to one at the United Methodist Church. Well, I'm still a member there, but back when we were going all the time, one of our members passed away. He was in the choir. He was a nice guy, but everybody knew he was gay. They had the funeral there at the church. I can't remember his name now. Anyway, we walk in there. Well, we're standing outside visiting with some people, and this dude comes walking up, full fuzzy blouse thing.
Oh.
Wearing basically yoga pants and high boots and got the hair going, And I'm going, okay, what are we getting into here, And we went in, and I'm looking around at the crowd going, whoa, And this guy belonged to a hearse club. You probably know who I'm talking about. A hearse club. They all own hearses. And
I know who you're talking about.
Okay, sorry.
And so they had the funeral and everything. He was cremated and everything, just had his urn sitting up there. And then when they started playing the music, I think the last one was a Fleetwood Mac song or something. And you seen some of the older people going, what the hell is this? This ain't church music, And I'm going, right on, man, But we left there and it was like, okay, if God hates gays, then lightning didn't come down on this building today. I think we're okay.
Yeah.
And we went over across the street and had food and everything. And There was like some goth people there, and the hearse people, and the gay people. it was just an odd funeral, But it's like, and it was more like you say, more like a celebration or something.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the black funerals down in like New Orleans and stuff. I mean, they celebrate the life.
Oh, the jazz.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They're marching and they're crying, but they're happy.
Oh yeah.
Because they're celebrating this person's life instead
Right.
of like we do, where we mourn ourselves to death. Then we go drink too much afterwards.
I know when my brothers and I sat in the funeral home going over my mom's like obituary and everything like that, I look over at the lady several times and she's trying very hard not to laugh because of course we have a sick sense of humor and we're making fun of this, that, and the other, and we're making, my younger brother and I are making fun of my older brother because his son's spelling of his name. His son's name is Joseph. There's a Z in there.
Yeah, okay.
Joseph.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just going back and forth. And we would tell stories about our mom and just looking at the lady. She's writing everything down. She's trying to get the obituary together, what we need to have done, what newspapers need to have the obituaries put in them. And you just see her trying like very hard to stay straight faced because she's just dying laughing. And it's like,
I don't know if you were here or not, but it was after band practice one day, and we was all down at Mom's house. And Mom always liked, especially on the Sunday band practice, she'd always cook for us. We'd have brown beans or potato soup or pot roast, whatever.
or God forbid we have breakfast.
Yeah.
Honey, hush.
But we were all down there, and of course we'd been drinking at band practice and everything, and Amanda was there. Shh. Oh, she had to let that out.
I didn't hear nothing.
But we were playing a card game or something, and we were just getting loud and obnoxious, and my mom goes, well, this party's getting kind of rough. I think I need to take my panties and go home. And we all just stopped and fucking died.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I'm sure
Because Mom would never say boo to a goose.
Yeah.
Unless she was really pissed off, and then, but just for that to come out, just like, wow, okay.
Well, and that brings me to a point that, and I'm sure, we've all thought about it, and you've probably, Merle, come face to face with it, but it's just, there's certain things that we don't want to think older people do.
Right.
How
do you think you got here?
No.
Oh.
No, I'm talking
Quit
like
that. I
clothing
was thinking that.
wise.
Right.
Because when we were younger, we thought 50, 60 years old was old. Oh my
40.
God, you're fucking old. And now that we're like around that age, it's like, seeing somebody your age wearing a thong.
Right.
Okay, that you wouldn't think anything of it, but as a kid,
Right.
as a 20-year-old or so, seeing a 50-year-old. Now I'm not going to say 40 because there was a couple 40-year-olds who may or may not have been picking up on high school boys. I'm just going to leave it at that.
There's some hot 50-year-old women out there. Hot 60-year-old women out there.
I don't know if you've seen Jamie Lee Curtis lately,
Yeah.
but she still looks fucking good.
Yeah, she does.
And we've talked about it on previous podcasts. The greatest paused movie theme of movie scene of all time.
Trading
Places. Get you a good look, because the rent's not the only thing that you pay for around here.
Yep. Something to that effect.
Yeah, I don't know, but Jamie Lee Curtis, in my opinion, not to get completely off subject, but
Oh, why not?
she's in my opinion, she's always looked better with short hair. I mean, I don't know what it is, but she is a beautiful woman. And oh yeah, I've got to point this out. March 18th, I am getting a photo and an autograph from a Miss Cassandra Peterson.
Oh, Elvira.
Well, Elvira's been retired,
Well,
but it's Cassandra Peterson. But yes.
okay.
And Big Sexy, Big Daddy Cool, Diesel, Kevin Nash himself.
Well,
I hope you have a box to stand on.
Yeah,
okay, step ladder.
yeah. I mean, he's only a foot and
3 inches taller than you.
change. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, he might have shrunk a little bit.
well, I mean, he did have knee surgery.
Mhm.
So, what did you always? I mean, was it like predetermined that you were going to follow in the family business?
No,
or?
at the time I didn't think I would do that. I was leaning more towards music wise.
Okay.
Toward
But-
what?
Music wise,
Okay, okay.
like I was into opera
Okay.
pretty big when I got out of high school.
That's right. Phantom of the Opera.
Family opera stuff.
Yeah.
I was in an opera up in Springfield my senior year.
Okay.
But then I was working at the funeral home too,
Mm-hmm.
part time. But in '92, Dad's like, okay, you need to figure out what you're doing. It's either school or mortuary school or doing something else. And so I, at the time, was like, okay, mortuary school.
Don't know a little bit about it already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's when I decided to go down to Dallas, and I met a friend that he was getting ready to go to mortuary school. His parents his family owned a funeral home up in Warsaw
Uh-huh.
and Lincoln. And he was getting ready to go, but he was going to go down to like Houston or someplace. And I talked to him, like, hey, why don't you come to Dallas and we'll split expenses and all that stuff. So he ended up going there too. So,
Okay.
but yeah, it wasn't my first choice. by any means. But
Oh man. Merle.
So we're looking for a vocalist.
I mean, we are.
my voice is not that good anymore, boys.
Well, we play metal, so it don't
Yeah.
matter.
Not true.
We're not doing. Well, we did do a couple Judas Priest songs, but you don't have to hit all those notes.
I couldn't hit a one. I hate to tell you.
No, we only did one,
Yeah, we only did one.
and you sang that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I didn't get those high notes like you did.
Oh no, no.
Living After Midnight's not that.
Yeah, Living After Midnight's not bad.
Yeah. It's not like Screaming for Vengeance.
No. Or Painkiller, Andy's favorite song.
Yes, that's my favorite. I don't know what it is, but I love that song.
If we could only find a drummer.
That's it. Out of our tens of listeners, if you know a drummer that lives in Bolivar, Buffalo area, let us know.
It doesn't matter if they're a convicted felon as long as it doesn't involve,
Karen.
I was going to say, human stuff. I mean,
Well.
selling drugs is okay. Killing a person is okay. But anything else?
No pedophilia.
Yeah.
I'll just
I may have
Throw it out there.
said that before I should.
Now,
but anyway.
okay. So, being as you said that, and it sparked something in my head here, and I
Oh,
don't
no.
know why.
this could go on for a
Did
while.
they go over like necrophilia?
Oh no, we didn't go through any of that.
Okay, so they automatically assumed that nobody was that twisted.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to mention it because it's obviously a thing, Sam Kinison
Sam
talked about
Kinison
it.
talked about it.
Oh. You know what?
All right.
I'm gonna let that echo. Andy?
Thank you, kind sir.
Nope. There's mine. So have you ever had the urge though to get back into doing some singing or anything, or
Oh, every once in a while.
I mean, besides in the shower?
Yeah. Like I said, my voice is just not. I used to, in school, I took voice lessons in high school and stuff, but it's just
Me.
too much smoking and drinking has done my voice in
Right.
pretty much.
Well, that's why you tune down and.
Well, I mean, anything is possible.
Yep.
Yeah.
Vince
Yeah.
Neil can sing again.
Who?
Actually, the
Vince
latest
Neil.
video I seen with John 5, Vince was sounding better than he had in a long time. It wasn't great, but
Apparently,
he was actually not taking a breath in between every word.
Well, apparently, there's a hell of a backing track,
Oh, okay.
and the
So he's lip syncing.
what was it? The Bad Habits.
Mm-hmm.
The girls from yeah. Apparently, they're doing a lot of singing,
Uh-huh.
and from what I hear, Vince is singing to himself.
Well, he had a monitor up there with all the lyrics during the shows with Def Leppard. So, I mean, I could understand if he hadn't sang those songs for 20 years, because we had to relearn our CD.
Singing and playing are two different things.
Right.
You can listen to a CD and get
The lyrics back again pretty
right.
quick. Yeah.
Right. You can because you can sing along with that.
Right.
You can't play if you don't know what key you're playing in. You kind of can't play along with it.
Or where'd this start?
Exactly. But
Salut.
Salud.
Salute.
Nicked up the gods.
Yes.
So do you ever sing karaoke just for the shits and grins?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I used to go up to friends
Yeah.
karaoke a lot and sing. But it's been a couple of years since I've done that.
Well, we've got a very amazing karaoke machine out there. With monitors and mains and subs and
Lights and
power amps and
Fog machine and
yeah.
oh yeah, oh fuck yeah.
I was gonna say
Fog
smoke,
machine.
but you know, fog machine. Oh yeah, it's great.
I mean, our music doesn't not have the lyrics, but we mix it to where your voice comes over,
Yeah.
you know.
And your voice will have effect on it, unlike a karaoke bar to where there's no effect. On
Not
the
an auto
vocal.
tune.
Yeah,
Not an auto tune. Just a little bit of reverb, a little bit of, you know,
echo.
just give it a little fullness, you know.
Of course, yeah.
Yep. We do that. Sometimes we have just sporadic karaoke nights. We'll be out here and sitting around the table in there, and Amanda will be down here, and she'll have about two of her Mike's Harder
Cranberries.
cranberries, and she's like, I feel like singing. All right. We go out there and fire up PA system and hook up Amazon Music or Apple or whatever.
And thank God your wife can sleep through anything. Because
She's usually out there with us for a while
yeah, but
until she says it's time to go.
I know since you got your extra amp and I got my amps, plural. it gets pretty loud.
You can.
Yeah. But then again,
If
we're
it's
also...
if it's too loud, you're too old.
Huh?
Yeah.
Joe Louis. He beat Joe Louis's ass.
Joe Louis. There they go. Every time somebody bring up boxing, some white guy got to bring Rocky Marciano out the ass. He did beat Joe Louis' ass. Joe Louis was 116 years old.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Who's next? God, I love that movie.
I don't know how many times I've used that. Fuck you. Who's next?
We had a guy re-enlist in Afghanistan, and for a moment of time, when you re-enlist, you're no longer in the military, and then you retake your oath of office, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, is there anything you would like to say? And the only person I've ever seen take full advantage of, quote unquote, being out of the military, he sat there, and they're like, do you have anything you would like to say? And he's like, yeah. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. Let's get this shit done. And I mean, and then he raised his right hand and he read, but I just thought, like, of all fucking places to say that around a bunch of dudes with loaded fucking weapons.
Well, hey.
Nah, maybe I may not have done that. But that's just me.
Yeah, okay.
But on that note, I think we have beat this horse dead and into submission.
We've done tenderized it.
Yes.
And then some.
It's time to take it to the dog food factory, if you will.
About to the point of carving it up for steaks for, Fido.
Or the glue factory.
Yeah. But you have just listened to another episode of Stu Ham Productions Presents.
J&M, Solve the World After Dark.
See you,
Oh,
folks.
yeah.
I've been James.
And I have been Matt. And on behalf of Andrew and Merle, you keep one fist in the gold, one foot in the gutter, and we will see you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.